Hello and welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted as always to be joined by my colleague Greg. Greg, we're here for a massive reaction video. Before we go into that reaction, guys, if you could like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you like all our content. It's a busy start to the year, busier than usual in the boxing world. So please let us know what you think of our content. And as I say, like, comment, and subscribe. Greg, we're finally here. Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn. It's been agreed. I'm going to start off with sort of two questions in one, in a sense of we're going straight into it. What do you make of this fight? And I think the big one, where I mean the two in one, is are you still interested in this fight? Because it's supposed to happen in October 2022. So we're talking sort of nearly 3 years. It's been a rivalry since Conor Benn turned over. I can remember back in 2016, them arguing at press conferences. So, it's been a long time coming, but sometimes when fights take a bit too long to be made, people can lose interest. So, what are your thoughts on the fights being made itself, and are you still interested?
Yeah, great to speak to you as always, Owen. I'm really interested in the fight. Like most boxing fans, I'm a bit fed up of the back and forth and the comings and the goings with the splits, and it was on and then it was off. And obviously, we all know the reason that when it was on the last time, why it got called off. I'm really excited about the fight, but I would have liked to have seen Conor Benn have another fight before he fights Chris Eubank because obviously, there's a question marks over Conor Benn, his performances, etc. I personally thought his last fight, the guy had a really, really good chin, really good chin. I thought it was a good performance from Conor Benn, but he's been quite inactive, understandably, due to the circumstances. Chris Eubank is coming off of that win against Zerameta. He's got a high ranking in the middleweight division. So, yeah, I'm interested. It depends on if there's going to be any kind of rehydration clauses, etc. But at this moment in time, it's a fight I'm really interested in. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think I'm probably more interested in it in terms of, we seen Chris Eubank strip himself down to literally the bare bones. Then the fight got cancelled, and I was always backing Eubank. But when I seen him on the scales, I thought, oh dear, don't matter how good you are, that's tough. I think the rivalry, the bloodline, there's so many different aspects to it that make it interesting. That I am still interested in it. Conor Benn's obviously called out every man and their dog from welterweight probably through to heavyweight over in the last couple of weeks to try and get a fight. World champions, Chris Eubank, take your pick. It's a difficult one, but who do you favour in this matchup? Conor Benn obviously post drugs bans. He claimed his innocence. We've seen him in, like say, against last time out, a really durable guy. Chris Eubank looked good in spurts against Zerameta, but looked a bit lazy at times, I thought, in terms of he knew he was better than him and he didn't. Could he have pushed a bit sooner? Probably. Did he get caught with shots he shouldn't have been getting caught with? Probably again. But who do you favour going into this? Take away sort of personal opinions, etc. The two as fighters, Conor Benn, Chris Eubank Jr., if you had to put your money on one man, who would you be putting your money on?
A hard question on it. I've always really liked Eubank. I do wish he'd done more in his career, because a young Chris Eubank, when I seen him coming through, I was like, this boy's got a bit of quality if he gets with the right trainer, does the right things, etc. I don't know why on at the moment I slightly favour towards Conor Benn stopping him. I don't know why. I think it's just because I'm looking at Chris Eubank's age. I'm
Mhm.
looking at it's £160. This was a guy who was at 168 nearly 10 years ago. He's now at 160, has been. That can't be healthy. I think he's about the same height as me, what, 5'11", 6 foot? Just, I think he's about 5'11", getting down to £160.
Mm.
If there's going to be a rehydration clause, is it going to be £10? Is it going to be 12? I think he needs to be comfortable once he's made the weight. That's my biggest concern in the fight because it doesn't matter how good you are, Owen. If you're not comfortable on fight night and you've had a tough time making weight, one punch can take you out, and it's not necessarily your fault. It's the effort that goes into it. So to answer your question, at this moment in time, I'm siding towards Conor Benn, but I think Conor Benn can't match Chris Eubank for boxing ability, so it's a really good fight.
I think you've analysed it perfectly there. Chris Eubank's a better boxer. Everyone has their opinions, and no one's opinion is ever right or wrong. But I think if you look at the two and you're picking Conor Benn as the better natural boxer, it'd be very surprising to me. Obviously Conor Benn's got age on his side, but Eubank's got experience. It's a heated rivalry, it's a family rivalry. It's one of them where they could both get in the ring and in different aspects. But one I always like to come back to is Anthony Joshua, Dylan White. They hated each other. They got in there and it did explode. These things do happen. And when the referee gets them head to head, who knows what could happen? I think I'd favour Chris Eubank at this moment in time to old man him. But I think closer to the time, see him in training, see Eubank at the weight. Because, like you say, a 168 hour drop into 160 at this age and this stage of his career, I want to be seeing him in training on the pads, etc. Just a quick one to finish on, Greg. Obviously, bar Fury AJ. Do you think this is the biggest fight in British boxing?
Um, yes, I do. And the reason being is because the other fights have dwindled for too long.
Mhm.
If we look at Anthony Yard, Joshua Buatsi, if we look at Callum Smith, Joshua Buatsi, Callum Smith, Anthony Yard, if we go down the weights a little bit further, I'm trying to think if there's any huge fights that are there on the horizon. Lee Wood, Nick Ball, those kind of guys. You've got to say it's the biggest fight in the country, because the way to answer that one is there many of these fights that are domestic grudge matches that could do a stadium? No. This one is going to do a stadium with a good undercard. So for me, yeah, I think it's the biggest fight in the country to be made, aside from the two heavyweights that we spoke about.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. It does the biggest numbers. It probably has the best build up. It's probably been one of the better build ups in world boxing, let alone British boxing. So I think it's fair to say, even like all those names you've mentioned, as big as they are, this would be the biggest fight. But finally, we're here, touching every bit of wood possible that we actually get to see the fight this time round. Um, Let us know down below in the comments, guys. Do you think the fight's going to go ahead? Do you think there'll be any hiccups? Who is the A side in this fight? Should there be rehydration clauses? Who's going to win? It's such a big fight. There's so many different talking points for one of the biggest British class, sorry, the biggest British clashes we've seen in a long, long time. So let us know down below in the comments, guys, what you think on all those questions. Whether you agree with Greg that Conor Benn can stop Eubank, or whether you believe that I'm correct and that Chris Eubank will old man Conor Benn and get to a points victory. Greg, thank you so much for reacting to this fight with me. It's a huge, huge night pending. And once again, thank you for joining me.
Can't wait, Owen. Thanks.